The Yankees ended their 6-game homestand following a series with the Orioles and the Padres. New York Post Yankees beat reporter Greg Joyce, he's been all over the Yanks coverage this week, and Greg joins us now. Greg, how's it going, man?
Good. How you doing, Dexter?
I'm doing well. Now, Greg, we saw good play from the Yankees this weekend. We saw back-to-back quality starts from their starters, Luis Severino on Saturday, Gerrit Cole on Sunday. We know how dominant Cole has been, but how impressed were you with what you saw from Severino in his second start of 2023?
Yeah, he looked really good. I think that was a really encouraging start. Obviously, his first time out in Cincinnati, he looked pretty good, was obviously working on a pitch count. Yesterday, on Saturday, was doing the same thing, but he was really efficient, so he was able to kind of work deep into that game, deeper than, was kind of expected, I think. He's still got like one or two more starts to fully build out that pitch count where he's, gets to a point where he's able to go out there and throw 100 pitches and not be, looking up at the scoreboard to see how many pitches he has left on a given day. But, it's a really encouraging start for the Yankees to see what Severino did yesterday. When he's healthy, he can be up there with one of the, some of the best arms in the game. And obviously the health has been the major issue over the last few years. But, when he's right, he's a tough guy to face on the mound. And that's big for the Yankees. Obviously, they're still waiting on Carlos Rodon to come back, but to be able to get Severino healthy and right, that's huge for their rotation moving forward.
Yeah, it's definitely huge for the rotation. Obviously, you talk about the health of the rotation needing to be better as they move forward. And speaking of the rotation, we'll talk about Domingo Germán. He's going to return from his 10-game suspension for using a foreign substance on the mound on Monday in Seattle. On Sunday, Germán said upon his return to the mound, he probably will use less rosin on his hand. What did you make of his comments, and how will his use of rosin, how is that going to affect the team going forward?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, he had the scare in April, when the umpires allowed him to wash the excessive rosin off his hand, and he was able to avoid an ejection suspension that time. But that did not deter him from, putting on whatever he had on in Toronto for that start when he got the ejection suspension. So, it's going to be closely watched to see what he's doing. I know the Yankees have talked about kind of self-policing in the dugout, whether that's the coaches, fellow pitchers, everything. Maybe checking hands before pitchers go out to the mound, not just Domingo Germán, but obviously, that'll take on some extra significance Monday in Seattle. But it'll be interesting to see, right? Because one of his best pitches is the curveball, and that's a pitch that has, it's dependent on good spin. So we'll see how much he's able to use. The tough thing is that there is that kind of gray area about how much rosin is too much rosin, how sticky is too sticky. It just by kind of definition, just because they don't have anything to measure it, is kind of subjective, right? So, but obviously, I think that Yankees have been preaching to err on the side of caution. So, Matt Blake, I talked to him last week, and it wasn't just about Germán, but for all their pitchers. He said, whatever you think the line is, you need to take 10 steps back from that. So I'm sure that will be especially the case with Domingo on Monday night, just to avoid anything further, just because, if he does get caught with something that's too sticky, obviously the next punishment is, I think, 50 games. So 50-game suspension. So obviously he can't afford that. So they really have to err on the side of caution there.
Yeah, he can't afford that. The team can't afford that. Want to err on the side of caution, especially because there's no clarity on what the line is on this. So it'll be something very interesting to watch in his next start with him going forward with the Yankees. And okay, here we go, Greg. The Yanks, they take it to the road. You are headed to the Emerald City, where they will play 3 with the Mariners before heading to L.A. for a 3-game series with the Dodgers. Memorial Day weekend, I think it's a good time to evaluate a ball club. So 55 games into the season, how do you evaluate this Yankee squad?
Yeah, I think, all things considered, they're in a pretty good place. I know the first few weeks of the season, first month of the season, while they were battling some injuries and not playing their best baseball, sometimes it kind of seemed like the sky was falling. Then they went on a great stretch to kind of get, even things out a little bit. And like you said, they head into Memorial Day weekend at a pretty good spot. They're still waiting on getting some guys back. Giancarlo Stanton could go out on a rehab assignment this week. Josh Johnson is on one right now. And could join them on this road trip. It sounds like Tommy Kahnle is also eligible to come off the IL soon, so it seems like he's set to join them on this trip. So they could get 2 or 3 guys back just on this trip alone to kind of continue to reinforce the lineup, the bullpen, which will be big. But they've kind of withstood those early injuries and come out of it, relatively unscathed. They've given themselves a shot here to keep in the fight and everything. So I think all things considered, they're in a pretty good spot, given everything that they've had to deal with so far.
Yeah, Yankees in a pretty good spot right there in the wild card chase, and we'll see how things go for them on the road this week in Seattle and in Los Angeles. Greg Joyce, he will be there with the team, all on top of all the Yankees news. Greg, great job as always. Safe travels on the road. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Dex. Appreciate it.
Anytime.